All right, Beis Hashem, Perik Tes Zayin. That's what we're holding. We're not going to manage to do the whole thing today, but we'll do a little bit. So, in Perik Tes Vav, we tried to cover the understanding of what the different types of Beinanis that we have. And we ended up that hopefully that we could be the Beinani that works in ourselves, that constantly is in action to work on the other side, on the Sitra Achra, on the Nefesh Bahamis, which keeps our Avodah fresh and everything good. The Tanya wants now everyone to know that even with all the successes of the Beinani, it still has to be and will be an emotional roller coaster when all the conflicting urges happen at different times or even at the same time. Okay? And he starts by explaining that a Beinani needs to have shlita on his teva of his nefesh bahamis, which is the klal of the avodas Hashem of a Beinani, as we're going to say right now. I just wanted to give you that akdoma before we begin. He's going to be talking towards the end of Perek Design, more practical as well, but let's see what we can get done. V'zeh klal godel ba'avodas Hashem lebeinanim. This is the klal godel of the avodas Hashem. Remember yesterday, Teret Tezvov, there's an eved Hashem that's already there, he's reached it, but we're talking about an oved Hashem, avodas Hashem, there's someone that's currently engaged in the war, lebeinanim, for a Beinani, or, shall we say, someone that wants to be a Beinani. Ha'ika, who, limshol v'lishloit ala teva shebachol lasmoli. He has to be completely in control of his left side, because at the end of the day, the nefesh bahamis of the Beinani is still in big power. The urges are still coming at him from all different directions, and he has to be in control. Al yedei, or Hashem, hameh lenefesh alikish shebamoyach, v'lishloit ala leiv again, this word again and again. That it's, so to speak, lahoilid, it gives birth, right? Mibinosai ruach das and yiras Hashem. So it's interesting. Why is it used this lotion of giving birth? So the idea of chachma, bina, v'das, I think we've said this before. The idea, the relationship between chachma, bina, and das is almost like the Sfar Magdoshim bring this down. Is like the Chochmah is the father, the Bina is the mother, and the Das is the offspring, is the child that comes from the union of both of them, right? In the sense that over here is the Chochmah is the seed that seeds the Bina, and the offspring of the Bina is the Das, okay? So it means basically, Azoi, that when a person constantly thinks of something, it will create the mitzias of that thing, right? It will make it into an instinct almost. Right? Imagine if a person, let's say a person knows that smoking is dangerous, right? And he constantly tells himself smoking is gefährlich, it's dangerous, it can kill a person, and who knows what he can get from this. He constantly drills it into him. Eventually it becomes the mitzvah, it becomes real to him. Right? It's moiled that's the offspring, that's the das. Mimela, what he's telling you over here, the more you think about the Rebbeinu Shalom, the Gadlus Hashem, the more the offspring will be this Yiras Hashem, which is what he said before, which is removing yourself, preventing yourself from any problem, whether it's a Daraisa Durabanan, Vafilu Isash Kal shall Divreim Chas V'Shalom, even if it's a small klein aveira, even of a Durabanan, Va'avas Hashem Miliboy, B'chol Alayimoni B'chashika Uv'chafitza, L'dovke Boy, B'kiyam HaMitzvah Daraisa Durabanan, V'Talmud Torah Kineged Kulam. That means what the Tanya wants us to do is he wants us to focus on the positive. He wants us to focus as much as we can on the love that we have for the Melech Malach for the Rebbeinu Shalom, since the Nefesh Bahamis at the end of the day in us, in a Beinanis, can't be changed. We can't change our Nefesh Bahamis into Toiv. That's a tzaddik, that's not our avodah. We already spoke about that. It's going to be there. So we have to create sufficient pull in the opposite direction to make sure that we're doing avodas Hashem in the now, as we explained in Perek Tezvav, not an eved Hashem, right? We're talking about they're focusing on the love of Hashem. So if we do that, we create the mitzias, right? It's the offspring. We've got the Chochmah, the Bina that's doing it, and then the Das is the offspring that we become, that there's a mitzias of a love of Hashem, which will give us that ladov kaboy, that clinging to the Rebbeinu Shalom with Kima Mitzvah Daraisa Rabbanan Talmud Torah Kineged Kulam. The Yeser Al Kain. So there's another thing you have to know, even more than this, which is the big klal for the avodah of a Beinani. Shegam im ein yad sichloi v'ruach beinosoi. maseges lahoided avas Hashem bezgalis liboy. Even if you don't possess in your seichel this tremendous love of the Rabbeinu Shalom in a very open and a very, energy sort of way. You don't have this burning fire inside you of love of the Rabbeinu Shalom. Rak, what do you have? This dormant, sort of lying still, laying low sort of love. The Hainu, Shahalev Mavin. In other words, you know all of this is true. You know the Rabbeinu Shalom is the greatest. You know the godless of the Rabbeinu Shalom. However, it's not generating a thirst for Hashem. It's not generating this desperate want to be attached to Hashem. The knowledge is there, but it's not getting any further. It's not generating the energy that we're looking for in this case. In other words, it doesn't make you excited about Yiddishkeit, about the Rabbeinu Shalom, right? And this is all after thinking about Hashem, being mispoinen and the godless Hashem and everything else. So the question is, okay, now what? So what do I do? How do I do this? To kule kame koloi koshev mamish, that the klapi the Rabbeinu Shalom, there's nothing else. Asher al kein yosolo yisbarach shetichna elov nefesh kol chai. Right? In other words, that Avada, every single living being has to serve the Rabbeinu Shalom. Avada, everyone's meant to be drawn to Hashem. But there's no excitement in my life. There's no excitement for Yiddishkeit, for Abbas Hashem, for everything we've been talking about. L'dovek or l'kolo ba'oiroi, to be medabek in the Or Hashem, v'gam nafshay v'rucha Hashem b'kirbay, kach yosolem lios kolois elu b'chashika v'chafitza loses minar teikon hua guf l'dovkebay, v'ak shabal kochen chiyos. In other words, that you agree with everything that we have said in Perek Daled of Tanya, right, from the Zohar. That means that no thought can grasp the Rabbeinu Shalom. We get that, we understand that, right? However, the way he does it is ka'almonus chayos. He's living like a widow. A widow specifically is so talking about a woman over here that's unable to remarry because her husband left without a get. It's the mashal that we gave earlier on, if you remember as well, also again in Perek Daled, this mashal of the melech, that there's no nafkamina if the king has one coat or 25 coats. When I hug him, I'm hugging the king. My nafkamina if I'm hugging the king and 25 coats, or the king and one coat, right? So I'm missing that. Ve'ilu zoi so also then chabke b'chol leiv nefesh moed dainu kiyam atarim mitzvah ma'isa ubedibu makshova sheyas sogos v'yedias atayur kanal. That means a person is missing this connection, this hug that he wants to do, and he knows it's true, and he's being mispoining the whole time. He's creating this tug of war between the nefesh alikis and the nefesh bahamas inside him, which is great, and he's meant to be doing that. Because if you don't create that energy, if you don't create that tug of war, then Avada, the Nefesh Bahamas is going to win. Then who knows what's going to be with your Beinani status anymore. And Amai, what he wants you to do, and that's what we're going to continue with Ezer Hashem tomorrow, is how to get this Lamaisa. Where do I get the energy from? What happens if I'm a Beinani, that Lamaisa, I think about Hashem, I think about the Avos Hashem, the godless Hashem, but it doesn't get anywhere. It doesn't get me to this tremendous energy that I'm necessary to do in order to make sure the tug of war is Matzdeach. Tomorrow we shall continue and try to finish the parak as well.